sunny day here in California, and today we are going to be up-potting my tomatoes. What this means is that I'm taking my tomatoes from the tiny little 72 tray cells that I have them in and putting them in something larger so that they can grow bigger and have more space to grow. So up-potting, upping the size of the pot that they're in. So come along with me and I'll show you what we're doing today. Let's go. A few things to get started. Some larger size pots. These are, I believe, 3.5-inch pots. Maybe they're 4-inch pots around. So the tops are 4-inch around. They do narrow as they go down. They are round pots. I like the square pots as well, but these ones are a better price point for me. I will link below where I got them, just off of Amazon. Ordered them, they came in like a day or two later. So got a bunch of these. You also need soil. A lot of people use potting soil, which is really great. Makes sense when you're up potting. I just use my seed starter soil that I've shown you in my past videos. I use the seed starter soil because I have a lot of it. It stores really well for me. It's really compact and it's still nice and light and fluffy, so that the seedlings that are going to grow bigger, they still have a lot of room for, and it's easy for their roots to grow through it. The only problem is that there's not a lot of nutrients in the seed starting soil, so you do have to add additional nutrients. So you can just get like a liquid fertilizer from your store, local store, and just I add it into the water. So I still bottom water mine in these solid trays. So I just get these off of Amazon too, but I get the solid trays, add the water, the liquid fertilizer in here, and then set these pots in here. They have holes in the bottom so that the water can easily absorb through into the soil, straight into the pots. So, and then you just fill the water a half of the way, a third of the way, and then your soil level is still way above it, so it's easy to drain, but it'll still stay moist for you. So, and then of course the other important thing that you need are your tomato seedlings. So I have here half a tray. Here's my half a flat of tomato seedlings that I have. You can see some roots hanging out of the bottom. That's because, like I said, the seed starting soil has no nutrients. So the plants are searching for that water, those nutrients, so the roots are forced to grow down. That's also a big reason why I bottom water, so that the roots grow down to find the water, the source of the water. And so you don't get this mess of roots all just stuck in the top layer. You have nice, strong roots growing down. But here are my seedlings. And you can see some of them are really leggy. Like this tall guy. But the good thing about tomatoes is I'm going to pot him up to here. So this whole part of the stem up to here, I'm actually going to cover with soil. So I'm going to put him really far down into the pot, and I'll show you that. But can you see all these little hairs on here? I don't know if you can see that. You see all the little extra white little hairs on the stem of the tomato plant? So all of those little hairs, when they hit soil, they'll actually turn into roots. So I always recommend you up pot your tomatoes. That way you have much stronger roots. So I'm going to up pot them now, plant them deep, plant them to the bottom leaves. And then when they grow even bigger in these next pots, and before I transplant them into my garden, they will get taller again, and I will plant them deep again so that I am continually growing those roots, so they have many, many layers of roots, and they'll stay strong and hold their place in the ground. So I'm going to show you that today. let's get started. So I'm just gonna take my little pot. Now you wanna have damp soil, whether you're using potting mix or like the blocks that I use that I showed you in my last video. The soil that when you wet that soil, you're using a lot of water. So I usually let it sit for a long time, soak up as much water as it can, and then when I go and take the soil out of the orange bucket and put it into my pot, I squeeze it out, get as much of that water out as I can, and then I put it in my cup, and it's still moist. I've heard the reference of you want it like a damp sponge, and that's a really good analogy. You still want it to be nice and moist and cool when you stick your finger in it, but you don't want it to be dripping with water. So when sometimes if your soil's too wet, you can see it dripping. So you squeeze it out. I like this because it still stays nice and light and fluffy when you squeeze it and compress it so hard, and then you just sprinkle it in and it makes it all nice and fluffy again. If you can see. So I just put a little bit of soil in to start with. I'm gonna pop out my tomato plant, stick it in here, and then fill it the rest of the way. So I don't have any special tool to pop these guys out, and I wish that I did. I'm gonna ask for one for Christmas or my birthday or something. But my little trays just have a tiny little hole, and I use my pinky finger and kind of just, if your soil and your plant has grown well, it'll come out in a solid little block. So I'm just gonna stick my pinky in here, pop him out, and then I kind of turn him over. Let me do this over the thing. So I pop him out, and I'm gonna kind of squish the bottom of the planter until he kind of just falls into my hand. I'm not gonna pull on him. I'm not gonna pull the stem, which could pull and damage the roots. I just kind of turn it over, and I've popped him out, and it is wider at the top so that he can just kind of slide and pop into my hand. So now I've got my little plant. He's got a little baby brother next to him. He's got his little baby brother next to him. Now if this guy was as tall as that one, I might separate him out. Right now I'm just gonna pinch him off. To me, it's not really worth trying to separate that guy out. He's a little bit too small. So I've got this guy. He's got some nice roots here, if you can see. Nice roots going all the way down, trying to find that water source. So again, I'm going to plant all of this. This might give you a better image. See all the little hairs? He won't focus. I need a new camera. So all the little white fuzzy hairs, if you can see, coming off of the stem, all of those are going to turn into roots. So I'm going to plant him in my little cup and fill the cup, the soil level, right up to here, to the bottom leaves. Right to there. That way from here up, all of these little fuzzy guys are going to turn into roots. He's going to build a much stronger root system. That's the term that you'll hear called planting your tomatoes deep. So you plant them deep into the soil, he'll be just fine. It's not going to damage his root or his stem at all the way to the bottom leaves. So I'll do that now. A lot of people do this different ways. Some people will fill up their cup almost full and then make a little space and put their tomato in there. I like to start with it mostly empty, put him in kind of hold him with my fingers, and then I'm gonna put soil in. Now, depending on how deep your pot is, you might not be able to fill him all the way up so that his root is covered or his stem is completely covered. You can also loosen the soil a little bit on him so that you can make him a little squattier. You're not really going to damage his roots. They are very resilient. They will make it through that. So there, now he is sitting right at the lip of the cup. So I'm going to fill the soil all the way up. You can see he's mostly empty. So I'm gonna come in here and get some of this nice, damp, moist soil and just kind of spread it around the cup so that it fills the bottom spaces so that he's more stable. So I've filled the bottom spaces. I am going to push it down a little bit so that it fills in all those holes. I'm not compacting it super hard. I just want all of that soil to get towards the bottom of my cup. Now my cup was a little bit squished, so I'm also going to fix that in the process and fill it out. Fill my soil. Now my soil is back down. I'll add some more soil just so that he gets covered. I've got my soil all the way to the bottom of those leaves, and he looks so much shorter than he used to, but that's okay. He is going to grow nice and tall in a little bit here. Now that I have him in a bigger space, he can fill out, he can grow so much taller and be ready for, sorry, my dogs. So now he has much more space to fill out, grow nice and big, fill out his root system, and be nice and sturdy and stable to transplant right into the garden in a few weeks here. So now I'm just gonna take my pot, fill him in the tray, set him in the tray, and then just fill this with water as soon as I'm done uppotting all my tomatoes. That way they have a way to absorb the water through these holes, get all the nutrients that they need from the fertilizer I'm gonna add in here. And that's it. Super easy. This was a short video today. That's all I wanted to talk about, just show you how I uppot my tomatoes. They're not quite ready to transplant into the garden. That's why I am uppotting them into a bigger space, because I grow them in such small little cells. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new, and I hope that you had fun. I hope you now know how to uppot your tomatoes, if that's what you need to do. If you have any questions, just add your comments below, and I will try and answer them. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!